back to the Silver Swanner channel. This is the 28th video in my US typeset series, and today we'll be adding an 1858 Liberty seated half dollar to the typeset. So obviously you can see that this is a slabbed half dollar. It is a details graded extra fine, which means that there is some sort of issue with the coin. In this case, it was cleaned, but I'm really excited today because for the first time ever, we're going to go ahead and crack a coin out of a slab and add it to our typeset. And so the video today then will also include the process of me cracking this coin out of the slab. We'll do it together for the first time, and hopefully it isn't too much of a pain in my rear end. That being said, before we go ahead and talk about the coin, I do want to remind everyone again that I am running a 250 subscriber giveaway, and I'll leave a link in the description below to the comment video where you can go ahead and enter that giveaway. So you might be noticing a theme. Last week we added a Liberty seated dime, and this week we are proceeding with the half dollar. And I didn't plan it like that, but it worked out nicely because there's a lot that we can build on from last week's discussion. So the first thing to know is that, like the dimes, the Liberty seated was featured on not only the half dollar, but the quarter and even the dollar. From about 1836 through 1891, there was some coin in production at the US Mint that featured this particular design. And like the dime last week, the coins reverse and obverse were designed by Christian Grobrecht. The obverse features a depiction of, you guessed it, Liberty seated. And on the reverse, again, we have an eagle that is clutching in its talons, arrows, and an olive branch. And then we have the date, the United States, and the denomination as well on the reverse there. So when we are talking about half dollars, according to the Red Book at least, there are 5 varieties. So the first variety is a no motto, which is the coin that I have today. It will be a no motto. Then there is an arrows with rays, and arrows without rays, then a motto, and then a coin again that is arrows but has a different weight than the first arrows without rays. So a little bit confusing when you're looking at the history. Then within each of those coins, there are several subtypes. So there are some coins that have larger dates or smaller dates or different weights on them. So it can quickly get confusing with a lot of these Liberty seated coins, the particular type and then the subtype that you are looking at. So it's really handy in that case to go ahead and have a copy of your Red Book, because it will explain to you exactly what type of coin you have. That all being said, we're going to change up the video a little bit today. So the next part we'll do is actually join me for cracking the coin out of the slab. Then we'll look at the coin under the microscope. Obviously, because it's already given a grade by PCGS, we'll have a good idea of what to look for when we're doing our own personal grading, but hopefully we'll be able to also tell why they gave it the details cleaned designation as well. So we'll take a look at that under the microscope. Then we'll add the coin to the album. I will share with you the updated album photos. And finally, I'll share with you my updated running costs so far for the typeset. So stick around. All right, and welcome back, everybody. Before we go ahead and crack this out here, you can see I have my cool new Silver Seeker silver stacking mat here. We'll take a look at that in a bit when we're getting to the album portion. But here is the half dollar here. And I watched a couple videos on YouTube about how to crack these, and they say these new ones are a little hard because they're pretty thick here. I don't know how well you can tell that, but we're going to go ahead and utilize some, hopefully, end nippers here, or end snips, you might hear them called as well. They're basically just some pliers, but they have a little cutting bit here that hopefully we'll be able to start picking away at the side here and cutting the slab open that way. So we're going to go ahead and start here at the corners with this. That came off pretty nicely. We're going to go ahead and do that on all of our corners here. And I'm trying to hold my hand around the coin at the same time as kind of a blast shield so I don't make too big a mess here on my desk. All right. And these end nippers, I think, are going to make this a breeze. I was a little nervous about how difficult this might be based on just how thick and sturdy these slabs are. I mean, they're not really meant to be opened when you don't have a details graded one here like I do. But this end nipper is making quick work of this thing. Okay, and that's the whole top ledge. It recommended when I was watching a video, actually Ben the Coin Geek. So I'll go ahead and leave a link to that in the description as well. That you can get a knife in these sides once you have it cracked open enough, and then just kind of twist the knife a little bit and separate the two halves. So we're going to go ahead and remove all of the edges here. Before we go ahead and try and separate it. And let's not nip my fingers here, John. Well, it's not shattering as much as it was here. You can see there's kind of like some pressure marks, or maybe that's just the bottom of the nippers there. Really want to get all this edge off because I think it'll separate pretty cleanly at that point into the two halves. This half is not wanting to come apart as much. Oh, there we go. All right. Put a little bit more pressure on it. All right, so that looks to me pretty much like I got it separated, and there is enough of a crack here, so let me go ahead and get the multi-tool out. Let's get the blade. Let's see if we can't separate this without stabbing myself. Well, I thought that looked like a entry point. Yeah, it definitely is. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the label yet. I think I'm definitely going to keep it, obviously. But I'm not sure how I can go ahead and put that in the book. All right, so we definitely have the knife in there, and it's starting to separate. There we go. That was a nice, good crack. All right, cool. We have got our $50 out, and they come in these little rings like this, so I don't even need flip or anything because that'll keep it off the ground here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down now. I'm going to clean off my mat here, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at the coin under the microscope. We'll hopefully get an idea why it got that details clean grade, and then we'll add it to the album. So stick around. Okay, and here is the $50 under the microscope now, and to look at it on the screen, but it looks like going this direction here, you can see a whole bunch of very fine lines, which is probably what I'm assuming that they're going to call the cleaning lines here. So let's go ahead and go to the red book here for a moment, and let me first give you what the red book says is the criteria for the grade here of the Liberty seated. So good for is scant rim, Liberty on shield worn, dates and letters legible. So obviously we can see Liberty, we can see the date here. If I go ahead and flip it around here, there is the reverse. Again, this is a Philadelphia, so no mint mark on here. We can read United States of America. You can see the $50. The shield lines are quite visible. The feathers in the eagle, all the little denticles here around the rim in the reverse look good here. There is a little bit of fading here in the F, and I'm not sure if that is just a dye. All right, and then going back to the red books for very good 8, rim fairly defined, some letters in Liberty evident. So again, good rim all around here. Liberty, I would say that that's very well defined here. Fine 12, Liberty complete but weak. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's more than weak. So far, now we're getting into very fine 20. So Liberty mostly sharp, and I'm going to say, no, we're better than mostly sharp. So now EF 40, extremely fine, Liberty entirely sharp, scroll edges and clasp distinct. So there's a little clasp here on Liberty's shoulder, and we'll go ahead and maybe even zoom in a bit here. Give me a moment to mess with the microscope and bring this into focus again. So what they're referring to here is this little clasp here. So I think we can see that. I'm not exactly sure what they're saying when they say scroll edges. So I don't know if they're saying like that's part of her drapery here. That's usually what I've heard. Or if they're saying, you know, down here on her pedestal, what exactly, or maybe it's the edges of the scroll around Liberty here. On the outside, I think that's probably what they're referring to. And I would say that that's sharp. The shield lines are good. If we go to the next grade in the red book, AU 50 about uncirculated, slight trace of wear on Liberty's breast and knees and on Eagle's head, claws, and wingtips. So I think here that it doesn't look too bad. Now, again, the red book doesn't distinguish between all of the different specific grades. They'll just give it the grade category, but you could definitely see the cleaning lines there much more clearly. So if we go and flip it back here to the Eagle, oops, you can see those feathers. I think they look pretty well defined. Maybe there is a little bit of wear going on in the feathers in this area, but overall I'm happy with it. This is the kind of coin that I'm trying to get for the album when we're starting to get to the little bit more pricier coins. It's very hard at the naked eye to see some of these cleaning lines, and for something that's going to go into the book, I don't necessarily care, or obviously I don't care that it's in a slab, but I do care that it is genuine considering how much I'll pay for a lot of these higher end coins. But a details grade and a cleaned and not a harshly cleaned grade is exactly the perfect candidate for a typeset. So that being said, let me go ahead and take it out of the little plastic holder and we'll add it to the we'll add it to the typeset album. So go ahead and stick around and let's do that piece. And as usual, here are my updated album photos. Like I said earlier, if you have ideas about what to do with the PCGS label, go ahead and drop that in the comments if you would. And finally, here are my updated running costs. So I paid $119 for the Liberty Seated No Motto $50. I bought it off eBay and it included free shipping. So that brings my total cost for the book and coins to $1,088.40. And I've paid $32.49 in shipping for a grand total of $1,120.89 for my typeset so far.